I'm Ash. Oh, excuse me already, huh? I'm Ash. I'm a person in recovery. And I'm just going to jump into a poem, to be honest. Did you expect anything different? All right. A new exhibit. Please listen closely. No outside drinks allowed. Elusive, we've never been seen before this. The museum packed with students, demolished corridors of ego, contained in small boxes in a highlighted frame. We are art. Hands raised, unmuted one at a time. Token newcomers, naked with still wet wings, on pink clouds we float. Illusions made even lighter, shedding our shame soaked skins. Beautiful, astonishing, raw. Mounted, matted, and mourning. We come from the rough drafts, the first drafts, rotating taps, struggling towards something that imitates life. Impatient submission, eager acceptance, hanging by a thin wire on a small nail. Continual quitting never complete. For we are the vulnerable. It is us, the gallery that feels the feelings, gives what it fakes, makes what it takes. Donated daily. These pieces you see are graciously on loan. Um, yeah, I'll explain that in a minute. But I am actually really grateful to be here. I've done this a few times. It feels like a lot, but I am 995 days sober, so who knows? Probably have a few more on me. Um, yeah, but I would have not guessed that I'd be doing a speaker share today, specifically 1 week after ending my relationship of 15 years. But honestly, it feels kind of perfect. Because if you had told me when I got sober that I'd be speaking clearly from a place of emotional sobriety about choosing myself, not just staying sober, I would have laughed at you or cried, both simultaneously. When I first came into these rooms, I didn't know what I sounded like when I wasn't performing. Um, I didn't know that I could talk without apologizing. I thought I had to earn a spot by being entertaining, useful, but also small and tragic. And then something happened. I realized people were seeing me, like me, a whole different person than everybody else in my world. And at that point, for some point in the way, my mask fell off. So that poem I read at the beginning, I was about 2 months sober, and I hadn't written like that in a long time, maybe ever. um, it was very much like a speed artist. Poems art no more than like 20 minutes. But anyway, I hadn't written like that. And it was long form. I was sober, and it was from like an actual like thoughtful place that wasn't just like raw anger or sadness. And I was learning to feel those feelings. When I wrote this one, it was the first time that I ever felt like writing something hopeful, to be honest. Uh, I got the proof. My mom hoarded all of my stuff I wrote as a kid and drew. And yeah, anyway. So at the time I had just found AA and P, and I used art to get basically sober. I don't know how there's like 35 hours in a day when you quit drinking, but somehow there is. So I just kept my hands busy, which was really cool because I'd never worked on anything for more than one day, like art wise. Um, I was still definitely living in survival. I got sober over COVID. I tried to get sober 2 times before. Um, they didn't really stick. 68 days, 72 days. Waited a nice cool year between those. And then, ironically, my last night drinking, I was reading old journals. And oh man, it was just so embarrassing and humbling. And like, I could just go back through all of my journals through all of my life and just like swap out the names. And it was just all this very similar, woe is me. My life is this, nobody understands. And I realized that I hadn't actively made any decisions in my life to steer it, or to steer it to do something different. There was also a few other things. It was a very, very, very boring, uneventful night, which is actually a lot of why I quit. Because I was like, I just drank 18 beers. I did like nothing. Um, anyway, back to the meetings. uh, I was definitely still living in survival mode. My partner just got a job that had them out of town for half the week, and I was freshly sober. So I was going to be left alone. And then I got COVID. And for those of you who know me, I might be a social person and I like talking to people and I love my people. So COVID and having COVID and being stuck home alone because partner was staying with a school teacher at the time, so they couldn't get sick. Anyway, I got desperate enough and I found the like 7 secular meetings there used to be. You guys don't even know. Um, and I wandered into one of these and everybody was hanging out and it was really great to like have people like hang out with. I never I hadn't done anything like that. Anyway, yeah, see, this is why I wrote stuff down. Let's see. Um, I came in like really thinking in order to be an artist, I had to be broken. I also didn't think that I actually was an artist, even though I ran a photography company. Um, I was genuinely worried that if I healed, I'd lose my edge. It's no. It didn't it didn't do that at all. It made me soft and open and raw. It made me learn to be honest in a way that was so much easier. Art was an easier form of me to learn to be rigorously honest with. Um, yeah, because basically that first year I wrote enough poetry that I was going to put out a book, but it was basically my journals. And despite the fact that many of my journals had been written in meetings where I read them aloud twice to people, it was still so painfully personal and separate from my life. Um, my ex-partner would not, he no he wasn't interested in my poetry or anything, which made me just freeze up because I didn't want them to be surprised by it and hurt by it. So I just like dropped it and I was like, oh well, dream dropped. Cool. But I kept writing and it's out of control. Um there's just like there's so much that's happened in the last 2.5 years that I didn't see. I said it like this the other day, but when you're driving someplace, driving home, and all of a sudden you're like, well, how the hell did I get here? When did I get here? um I keep seeing these situations that parallel things I've gone through or I'm going through them again and it just feels so wildly okay and it's surreal. Um yeah, I didn't write a full script, so this is where it gets kind of crazy. Uh my depression and my mood. I'm not gonna do the whole alphabet thing. I could. No, I'm gonna do it anyway. ASD, ADHD, CPTSD, PMDD. I don't know. There might be a few more. I like them. But my mood disorder. I have a hormonal mood disorder called premenstrual dysphoric disorder, and it wasn't really like a big deal. But turns out alcohol was helping me suppress those hormones that were making that happen. So a few 6 months, year after I got sober, they were hitting hard. Um, and this is weirdly, I'm so grateful I got to this dark of a place in sobriety because I can't just I can't lie in a way and be like, sobriety's great. Your mental health is just gonna be better. But I mean, honestly, I'm pretty okay right now for what I went through recently, and it's heavy and it's scary, and I'm still feeling the feelings. Uh, I don't remember where I was going with that. Oh well, onward. So, oh yeah, I see where I'm supposed to go. Depression, being able to relate to people, a big deal for me was, I will say, trigger warning, self-harm, and I'll wave my hand or say banana peel when I'm done. I don't know how to do this, obviously. Um, I was very concerned that I was not going to survive another month. I genuinely hated myself so much, and I was like 15 months sober. Everything was supposed to be better after a year, right? Like every just supposed to be better and you get it. And I wrote the most beautiful, awful poetry. But the thing is, I got to the art is really what got me through it because I was able to connect with other people who were candid with me about their self-harm and I got to be candid with them and then all of a sudden it became a thing that could actually be something I paid attention to and kept under control because it was in the conversation. Um, and that passive suicidality ideation stuff that for sure blossomed in a lot of my writers meetings and knowing that I was able to express it there. I don't know, I'm beyond grateful for the fellowship and making it this far. um let's see. If you come to my writers meeting, you're used to my hold music. Da, 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 da. All right, buckle up, you're getting another poem. So sometimes people see me and I'm excited and I'm a happy person, but like, duh, people get sad. I liked AANP because I came in and I was allowed to come in hot, like, oh my gosh, you guys, I look like I lost 10 years. I'm like, the bloat just like fell off. What? And like, did your eyes get whiter? I am fascinated by like mostly the human body and stuff. But anyway, I talk to a lot of people and they see me and they're like, you're doing so good. Like, look, I want to, like, where you're at looks decent. And I find that I feel myself trying to, like, I am so far away from the person who was so sad and wrote the stuff, like, I'm going to read right now. And it was only a year and a half ago. Anyway, uh, look up, tantrum, meltdown, shutdown, burnout on the high C. These abusive words slapping the bow, throwing a tantrum, foretelling waves soaking me, ignoring the storm ahead. I am on my way into the eye. My eyes closed, melted down, sealed with salt. Trying so hard to leave, but I am anchored in this place, and I can't tell if I've actually shut down here. I've been collecting rocks for so long, I filled the cabins below deck, my deep pockets. I want to sleep, but I keep getting splashed, and I'm stuck here in this wake. The engine is burnt out. I could have said that. I need help patching this small leak. You could say that. The strong wood, gone soggy, where it should splinter and crack. I've been collecting rocks for so long, filled the cabins below deck, my deep pockets. Once I leave the dock, limbo to the leeway, I think I'll go for a swim, so batten the hatches and shut me down. I'm high, you see, tantrum, meltdown, shut down, burnout, and now I'm sinking. Um, that came out in 7 minutes, and while I fully expect people to laugh at that. I just read you a nautical themed poem in my share. But this specific one was so freeing to have a conversation about in the rooms afterwards. Okay, I'm gonna jump ahead. This is what happens when you make like 7 different plans for your speaker share. Let's see. I love paper things. Okay, let's see. All right, so I'm gonna do this whole thing in cursive, way out of order. So I'll just do a few how I got here kind of things real quick. My parents sucked. I don't know. They were addicts. My brother sucks. He's an addict too. Big house, emotional neglect of the wazoo, undiagnosed autism, there was a lot of trauma, bullying, a lot of really bad things I didn't think were bad because my dad bought me a horse. So I was a spoiled brat, no matter what. And that is a fun one I've gotten to learn to shake as an adult. But my dad used to drink and then he got really into meth. That was fun, having being 16 and have your dad using like a laser scope around the front yard because who knows what? They're in the computer now. Um, my mom was also depressed. I was the person there for her. Uh, I'm so bad at trigger warnings, but that's suicidal. Yes, suicidality. Yep. Okay. She tried to commit suicide several times, and I was the person there to take her to the hospital or to just be there when I was like 6 and like cuddle in bed with her. My dad just kind of bailed. I have an older brother, but usually what would happen is my older brother would make my dad really, really mad, which would just like extra set my mom off. And it was just this cycle where I was born to be the mediator. Um, I like the rest of my family. I don't know that we have a drug of choice. I really don't. Um, I wound up an alcoholic because in this last relationship, it's like everything else was off limits. So I was like, that's cool. You know, I drink with all my other drugs, but I could just drink. And that's what we did. Um, and that like basically carried me through my 20s. Oh yeah. Okay, so what I've done these speaker shares and all of a sudden I want to tell like all the stories and there's no fucking possible way. Um yeah. So I basically am going to talk about what happened a little bit as far as last week. What happened was I lost my job a month ago, y'all. Like this is not wise. I don't have family around. But I knew that I was with someone who wouldn't let me be homeless or needy or whatever. And 6 years, roughly, we figured out. Basically, 6 years we've been checked out. And when I think about how much I drank or how we just drank to connect, and when I got sober, all the people I did that with just kind of they didn't disappear. But anyway, it was really hard. It's really, really, really hard getting sober with a normie partner. You've been with them for a long time? Really, really, really hard. I mean, getting sober is really hard. I'm not going to say it's not. Like I've just only done it this way, and I have always had beer in the house. Um, it's just always still been a part of my world, and I had to not accuse someone who can drink without being ridiculous of being, an alcoholic because they're not. Um, oh, it sucks though. It just sucks because doing all this work on yourself and like you become this like evolved version or like evolved, like you're peeling away. I don't know. Whatever metaphor you want to use for what happens, your character arc in sobriety. Um, yeah. Sorry. So I fully expected me to get this distracted this time because yeah, my brain is a little stressed out. But I I I broke up with him and he said thank you, by the way. This isn't like I'm not here to like talk trash about this situation. um I did a really scary thing. And it's the kind of thing I would have thought I had to be drunk for. But if I was drunk, I wouldn't have cared about a future that I knew I wanted. I wouldn't have learned that I matter, that I don't have to like compromise and bend and break myself to fit in some other boxes. And it's just been the most incredible experience getting to unmask my autism actually spend the time caring about my mental health, going to feelings boot camp. That's what I call these meetings because holy moly, principles over personalities has taught me a lot. And there are people I love very, very dearly. Even in this room right now, we've had a very difficult conversations and admit that we are not those completely healed people who are going to communicate. And I don't know. It's worth it, y'all. And I know there's going to be days real soon that I'm going to be like, ah, what was I thinking? Don't listen to me. But today I am so fucking grateful. I truly cannot believe how much hope I have. And I got sober because I was tired of living by default, not making decisions. And I went from really not making decisions to being stagnant to like trying to speak up to kind of making little decisions and making few boundaries to putting faith in myself that I'm going to figure this out and that this is all going to be okay. But yeah, I'm sober, so 995 days, 5 days till I'm done. And don't worry, I don't have a closing poem. I mean, I did, but it's all right. I'm gonna cut it off here because this has been a wild ramble, and I don't know what I did or didn't say at this point. It's just kind of whoosh. So, thank you, Kevin, and thank you, whoever is on service. And yeah, love you all.